If you had the opportunity to name a star, what would you name it?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. Inspire.
Why inspire?
Because that's what I'm about, inspiring people. So if I look up in a star and it reminds me like that's what I'm here for, that will be a constant reminder. Like when it gets dark, I can look up and I know inspire is looking down on me. So I'm gaining inspiration from the star and I'm giving out inspiration. So definitely inspire.
I like it. I like it. And be in the back, inspire.
It sounds like a perfume or like a cologne or
Inspire. You gotta whisper it because it's coming at night. Just
inspire.
inspire.
I like it. I like it. I'm about to write that down. Copyright it.
Listen, girl. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space podcast. I am your host, Leah. I am joined today. We are so happy to have her back, Lynette of the Nice to Meet You podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a minute.
It has.
How long has it been? Is it almost a year?
It's been too long.
It's been a minute.
Too long.
Me and you, us never.
Put my teeth out. Ain't no ocean, ain't no sea. Would you recommend that movie to anybody?
No, I hate it.
See, thank you.
That's why I had to stop. Because I'm like, I don't know the rest. I was gonna like pretend like I knew it. Because I feel like it doesn't put Black people in a good light. It's just I don't understand. She's 15, right? Because I don't even know the movie for her. 15 and Marion is, what is he, 40 something?
I didn't even know she was that old. I read the book too. Like, so I thought
I could be wrong. She
was a child doing this.
You know what? The Women of Brewster Place though. Now that's my movie. Have you seen that one? With Oprah in it? The Women of Brewster Place.
No.
That's a good one. Write that down. Women of Brewster Place. And it's with Oprah. It's with what's the chick from the crazy chick? Lynn Whitfield. Oprah, Lynn Whitfield.
The crazy chick.
Robin Givens. It's a great movie. It's with Oprah, yeah. And it's a long movie, but it's like empowerment of like Black women. How they're all living, I think in New York. And they all have different struggles and how they overcome it. But Brewster, Brewster.
Why do we have to watch struggle movies?
I don't know, but this one is like
it could be a struggle movie, but I mean, it could be a good movie, but it's just like, listen, I just finished watching Them, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen all in the same week. But I mean, I like horror for the thrill of the horror, but it's just, I mean, it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride. But today, getting to our topic, Yesterme. I like understanding who I was before, and mostly to really help myself from not beating myself up over accepting things that I should not have accepted, or putting myself in positions of being comfortable with less than what I deserve. And not saying that I'm just like, oh, know your worth and do this. No, I'm saying it in that I've worked really hard to get to where I was. I've done the emotional work. I've done the spiritual work. I've done the mental work, and all of that. And so I really worked to not be who I was before, but to be better. Not to be better than anyone else, but to be better than who I was before. But the idea of Yesterme kind of came about when talking with some of my siblings or friends of mine, or even acquaintances that I knew before. And I have to kind of remind them, like, okay, you're thinking about me, who I was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's not me now. Are you going to give me a chance to show you that I'm different? Or are you going to keep holding me to a standard? Even if I was like, I was really like, I talk way different now. Well, not way different. I talk differently now. I'm more understanding now. But before, I was straight to the point. I didn't care about people's feelings. I say what I wanted. I didn't care how you felt about it, especially in being in the supervisory position. But have you ever been have you ever been in a position where you had to have a let me reintroduce myself kind of moment?
Shoot, probably often, because for me, I feel like I'm almost. I would say that I'm like a different person, not a different person, but awakened to who I truly was. And so I feel like every people that knew me before then, I think that they probably still would try, because I was the people pleaser. So it's like they're shocked when I say no to things. Yeah, they're like, no, she didn't used to say
Wait a minute.
no. No.
Did she say no to me?
Yeah. And so I feel like constantly, because I feel like people, I was a service for them. So like when that service is no longer there, they're like, oh, this is new. Like I used to be able to get this out of. So the like for instance, the roommate that I told you about, she tried again, like with me coming back saying like, why didn't you buy me this? Why didn't you do that? And so when I didn't, eventually that roommate disappeared. Like she's no longer in my life. Like we cordial every now and then, like hi, happy birthday, things like that. But I feel like she came around to see if I still was the same person, to see if I still can get out of this person. And she came back and she realized I wasn't. And so eventually, I just talked about this on my last episode, like Jesus with the fish and the loaves. When people came around, TD Jakes just said this. Where were those 5,000 people when Jesus died on the cross? Where was the lady with the issue of blood when Jesus died? Now, they may have been there, but there's no mention of those people. So I feel like the roommate that I'm talking about, she came back around, the fish and the loaves, they're not there. So eventually, I feel like she was there because of the service that I provided for her.
Right.
And so when she came back, she's like, it's not the same person. So that's where she went. Like I said, we speak every now and then, but it's not the same.
I don't mind losing those kind of people in my life. I'm not too worried about the fair weather friends and the people who are here today and gone tomorrow. I'm not really worried about those people. It's more about the people who we have sustained a long-term relationship with, whether that be, our partners, our friends, our family, our real friends, not just, we have social media friends. This person who I see once a week at the coffee shop because we just happen to go at the same time or whatever. But those friends who have seen us through our growth. And while a lot of times growth is scary for some people in that, you're changing, you're not going to be the same. No, I don't want to do what I did last year. I don't want to do what I did 5 years ago. But some people want to. How have you navigated in dealing with, like, for instance, your sister? Your sister has seen you from when you were younger to now that you're older. So she's seen you grow from a kid to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
How has your relationship with her kind of changed and grown? And have you had to pay attention to that to make sure that it was growing with you?
Mm-hmm. Well, back to the boundaries thing, because boundaries was my big thing. And so for me, I feel like me working on me and me going through therapy has helped the relationship on my behalf and her behalf, because I feel like we would make ourselves so available to each other. Like if the person didn't answer, she's at my door knocking, wondering, why are you okay? Like there was an instance where I didn't answer. I was like in my 20s. And so I was asleep because I'm a hard sleeper, like a heavy sleeper. And so she was trying to contact me and I wasn't answering. And so next thing I know, she's outside my window, standing on top of the AC, the AC unit, knocking on my window, trying to see if I'm okay. Because like we made ourselves so available to each other. Like if you don't respond to my text in like 2 minutes, you're going to think that something's wrong. And my mom has the same mentality. And I realized I made myself too available. Like me and my sister are super close. We're like 21, 22 months apart. And that I realized we didn't have boundaries. And so what I know now is like, sometimes if I'm texting her or if she texts me, it's like, if I don't feel like it, if I'm in the middle of doing something, I could be cleaning up the house. I could be watching something. I could be at work. I could be, doing something. I have to know that I don't have to stop right there, then and there and respond. So she respected it. At first, it was challenging because at first she'd be like, Lynette, I talked to you like, if I text you, if I say anything, if I call you, you're going to answer. So initially It was hard because we had to get used to not being so available to one another. But eventually, like now, sometimes she won't respond right to me. It'll be an hour or so like that. And like she knows that I didn't die. I didn't fall. I'm okay. The world didn't stop. You don't need to
Don't
come
have to
knock on my
assume the
window.
worst.
You don't have to do all that. So I feel like me going to therapy has helped build our relationship to understand that we can build boundaries, and it helped us. So now I can go outside of my relationship with my sister and enforce those boundaries with other people, friends and family members that are not as close to me. Because like with her, I was like a little bit hesitant because of our relationship. I didn't want her mad at me because, of course, I'm like, we're super close, and I didn't want to, lose that relationship. So at first, it was, like I said, it was a little rocky, but we both understood that we don't have to be so. I still love you. You're my sister. Nothing changed. It's that I have things going on where I don't have to stop, drop, and roll when you need me. So yeah.
My sisters and I kind of did the same thing. So me and two of my sisters talk all day, every day, or we used to talk all day, every day. So much so that it became like a huge part of our day because I would have breaks at work, and then so I would have breaks at work. My other sisters would either be at work or on their way to the store, whatever the case may be, and we would just talk like maybe 3 or 4 times a day. And we realized that all that talking together, we needed a break. And it didn't happen all at once. Like all three of us did not decide that we needed to take a break. It was one at a time. Like I was like, listen, I need the weekend. Or like Kayla, she would say, hey, I need like a week or two. And then recently, my other sister, Jocelyn, was just like, well, I'm just not going to be as available because I want to be more present where I'm at. And I'm just like, okay. So as they're doing it, I'm going through the withdrawals of just like, I wanted the answer. I need to call. And it's good because it helps me to see how dependent I was on that interaction.
Yes.
And I was really, and it just became a dependency. It really just became a dependency because, I mean, I know people out here. I don't hang with people out here.
Yeah.
So that was my social. And so without them, I'm just like,
yeah.
I guess I got to find a hobby. I don't know. Let me go for a walk. Let me go do something. But it was an interesting, it's been an interesting few weeks just to be like, okay, well, I understand, we need breaks. We need to, establish some good boundaries and things like that, especially when you want to be more present. Because for me, it sucks being on the phone all the time, knowing that you can't be there. But I also know on the flip side of that, sometimes, especially people who are people pleasers, think that if they don't answer, they don't call, they don't respond, they have these, did I do something? I maybe said something. Okay, are they mad at me? What do I need to apologize for? What can I buy for them? What can I do for them? How can I show up? Maybe I'm supposed to go over there. But it's just acknowledging that, hey, we don't have to be able to do each other all the time.
But I was the one that like I wanted to have my own friends because me and Janie, we had the same friends. I'm like, and then the friend would feel like we're double teaming them because me and her always agreed. So we had one friend that like our best friend. And sometimes our friend felt like we were attacking her because me and Jenny think alike. And we didn't mean to be attacking her, just that we just think alike. And so I felt like I kept telling her, like, Jenny, I want my own friends. And I didn't mean any harm. And I could never, without going to therapy, like voice that. It's like I wanted to know who I was outside of Janie because we've been so connected. And the things that we went through, the struggles that we went through in life made us even closer. And so we were so dependent on one another. But I was a sister that was trying to spread her wings and trying to meet different people. And she was like, I felt like I told her that she needed me more than I needed her. And I don't mean any harm by saying this, but I was the one that wanted to see what I can do, outside of her. And she would say, I should be appreciative to have her because some people don't have anyone. And I never thought about it like that because I'm like, if at one point, the friends that I lost when I left the church, it's like me and Jenny were the only ones that hanging out with each other when we used to hang out with these people. So I get what she was saying, that it's a blessing to have anyone because some people are by themselves and they have no one. But on the other hand, I also wanted to know who I was outside of her. And I didn't. I felt like we were doing one another a disservice by being so close. Because also, and I know people would say that they felt like we were, because at one point it was me, her, and the roommate staying with one another. And they said that they felt like we wouldn't get married or we wouldn't have anyone because like men would be intimidated or threatened by, you being so close. They're like, where do I fit in? Because you needed each other so much, then what do you need me for? Like, you provided this, or you doing all the stuff that this guy would potentially do. What do you need me for? And I don't know if I did want to, be on my own to see, because I mean, it might be intimidating for a guy to see me so much with these three people. I mean, me and two other people. And it's like, I get it. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, are men, and I'm not trying to change the subject, but I felt like I wanted to know just me outside of that. So I feel like it's a good thing to establish boundaries. It's a good thing that we did do that.
Yeah. So a couple things. So I can agree that, it's always good to have someone, but that does not give that person, and I'm not saying this is what your sister did. I'm saying that some people who use that line, some people don't have anybody. Well, at this moment, you are choosing not to respect my boundaries. Mm-hmm. You're choosing to discount my experience or my wants or my feelings about us interacting right now. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it's almost best that I don't have anybody than to have somebody around who's going to be disrespectful to my wants and needs. Mm-hmm. And I can agree that, sometimes having friends, having family is it can be tricky in developing that, but it's not on me to make you feel better about our relationship.
Yeah.
Because your insecurities can't be my insecurities. I mean, sometimes they are the same, sometimes they run together, that's fine. But if you're insecure about your place in my life because I want to go try something new, or I don't want to be on this plane anymore, then that's more of a you thing and not a we thing.
I agree.
So if people are more worried about who you're going to be with, what you're going to do, with whom you're going to do it, as opposed to, like, absolutely go try this thing, go do, if this is going to make you feel better, or this is going to make you want to try something new, be somewhere different, and you're not hurting anybody, go for it. But if you don't have that person, if that person can't be there, it's kind of the same thing of if you're in a relationship and that person says, I want you to be happy with me. Well, do you want me to be happy or do you want me to be with you? Because
bars.
Yeah, like because if I can't, because you're not going to be my end all be all. Nobody can be everything to anybody.
Facts.
Like you can't be everything. I don't want you to be everything to me. I need you to have your own friends, please. For the love of God, have your own friends. But I think that it's unfair to put that kind of pressure on another person and say, like, genuinely, Lynette, I really want you to be happy. Whether we're friends or not, whether we hang out or not, whether we see each other anymore, I really want you to be happy. I really want you to be able to experience life to the fullest, regardless if I'm in it or not. I don't have to be a part of the picture to want that for you. But if it comes to a point of someone saying, well, no, I want you to be happy with me, I have to be a part of the picture.
Yeah,
like you're only like, that's not healthy relationship.
No,
that's absolutely not a healthy relationship. But then also you're saying, you were making a point about being in a relationship and guys being intimidated. And I feel like we as women, we claim that guys are intimidated about things that they're not intimidated. Intimidated might not even be the right word to use. Because regardless, like my thing is, you get in where you fit in. If you are dating, I'm sure of it, I'm sure that if you were like me, family, mostly sisters, right? It's three boys, 6 girls,
Mm-hmm.
7 girls. And I don't think that it is a large ask or too big of an ask for a man to make his intentions known and for you to say, well, you know, I do want to spend time with you, so I'm gonna make you a priority in my schedule, or I'll compromise a couple things to be able to spend time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the more priority that person gets, the more time you're going to spend with them, regardless of who you're around. That's just how relationships work.
Right.
It's not. I don't think that it hinders anybody unless you have somebody in your life who's monopolizing your time.
Yeah.
Where you're not going to date. Like if you're not purposely going out to talk to people or to hang out with people because you want to spend time with one person who is a family member or a friend who you have no romantic interest in or whatever, and you don't intend on building a relationship, then yes, that can absolutely harm your chances of dating.
Mm-hmm.
But if this person is not monopolizing your time and you do have time to go out and date, regardless of who you live with, because everybody's living situation is different.
Yeah.
Everybody is in a different space. So I feel like I don't think that saying that guys would be intimidated by you having friends is a fair assumption.
I don't. It was actually my stepfather. Let's not even get on him, but he was just saying that, oh, you like how you all gonna get married? Y'all all living together, but I get what I'll say that my sister, when she was dating a guy, when she had moved away, she said she felt like she was torn because when I would call, we would always talk after work. This is what we do. And so the guys, like when she started dating him, like he wanted to talk about his day, but she felt like she was torn because she needed to talk to me. And I'm like, Janie, I will be okay. Like you don't have to talk to me, but she put herself in a position where she put that stress on her that I wasn't even expect. She put that expectation that she felt like even now today, like I'll tell her sometimes, she's a nurse and, me in elementary education. And I tell her like, we're not talking about anything. Like you literally can go study because nursing school is a lot. And I'm like, you're literally talking to me and you could be studying for a test. And I tell her that, and I think she still feels obligated. And I'm like, we're working through it. But I feel like the boundary that I had to build the most was with my sister because we were so close. We did everything together. Like I said, had the same friends and stuff like that. And I'm more assertive now. I was more passive. So she's having to deal with me being more assertive and me like,
is she more assertive or is she more passive?
We probably both are. She like doesn't. We both care what people think, but it's like I won't really say anything. Like I'm more passive as not vocalizing it. She'll just like go off on them. Like she's like from 1 to 10. Like she has to make sure her temper is in place and she doesn't fly off the handle. So we both lived in a place where we were people pleasers and care, but like she was more so she would go off on you if she needed to, and I would just kind of like if you like rub me the wrong way, I would internalize it and you probably would never know it. But yeah, so we're both probably passive, but she's more so like if you do her wrong, like you're gonna know about it. But she's she's gotten better with that. But I see a lot of similarities in us, and it is probably from the trauma that we went through. But it's like me going through therapy. It's like my therapist told me like I'm in therapy, but the people around you aren't. And it's like if you're growing, you're leaving them, and they're like it's almost a good idea that you encourage the people around you to also go to therapy because like you're growing and they're staying the same. And it's like you can't force anyone to go to therapy, but it is a good idea. The people that are important in your life is like you're trying to come out of something, you're trying to grow, you're trying to better yourself, and that person is just not saying that they don't wanna better themselves, but it's kind of like it's different when you're actually going through a person that's trained to help you become a better person than someone that's just, I am what I am. I'll work through it. I'll figure it out. So I do, listeners out there, I feel like if you're in therapy to encourage, you can't make anybody do anything, but I feel like it's a good idea. Those who are important to you to try to nudge them to go to therapy too, because I feel like it's going to be a constant battle. When you're growing, that person is like kind of pulling you back. That they know you win, and they don't know the new you, and they're like, oh no, this is who I know, and like you're trying to go here, and they're pulling you there. So I feel like that's a good idea.
Yeah, the constant regression, because with progress there comes like some regression that happens, and it's a part of life. It's a part of the cycle that we're on. And when we walk this path, a lot of times we get reintroduced to people who are from our past, or who know us from our past, to say, remember we used to cut up and do this? Let's go ahead and do that. Like,
Yeah.
you always used to say, come on, you always used to do this. We ate here, we did this, we were with it. And a lot of times the battles that come from that are, hold on just a second. Sorry about that. He's getting his life together. So there's a constant battle that happens, and it's hard to stay strong in um not wanting to go back to who you were. Like, I was like, being talking very direct with people, it can come off very harsh. I wasn't very ladylike. I didn't have like the dandelion voice. I didn't talk like Lynette. Lynette has very smooth voice. I wasn't like, I said what I needed to say and let that be that. Like, I wasn't about tearing people down, because I didn't want to tear people down. I was just like, uh I just didn't want to be handled a certain way. So
Yeah.
I just became tough.
Mm-hmm.
And in being tough, a lot of people don't really know how to handle that,
Yeah.
especially with my more sensitive. I have a lot of highly sensitive people around me,
Like
and I don't know how.
empaths.
Yes, I have. How that happened, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but um, it has made me to be more um, intentional in my
Mm-hmm.
conversation with them, and more explanatory. Not that I have to justify anything,
Yeah.
but to be able to fully explain um, what I feel or what I think, and being able to give voice to those things in conversation, so
Mm-hmm.
that it's not like a situation of, well, you told me off about this and you were so worried about this. And it's like, yeah, but that happened 5 years ago. I'm not that person who I was. And if you're hurt about that, we could talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
But my answer is going to be the same. I'm not who I was.
Well,
So
that's
stop looking at me through, like, my issue really becomes when people who knew me 5-10 years ago
mm-hmm.
um look at me as the person who they knew 5 or 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
without wanting to get to know me at this point. And for me, I have learned, because I have changed so much, that I have to give people the grace and space to change,
Mm-hmm.
the space and grace to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say, I didn't used to eat tomatoes, but I like tomatoes a lot now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to shame them and be like, oh, you said tomatoes are trash, and how do you know this, blah, blah, blah. No. But just the same, if they said they didn't want to, have a family, and now they want to have a family, they didn't want to get a job or start a career, they wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, or they flipped it and be a stay-at-home parent, and now want to be in the workforce. Like, I give people that opportunity to grow, because that's what I would want, because I have changed a lot, I feel, from where I'm not nearly as perfect, and I will absolutely regress at not any given time. But there are points where I feel like I do, I try to hold it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, yeah, like, I'm really gonna go off on this person, because I feel like I need to get this out right now. But at the same time, I really don't want people to treat me like, if you're hurt, if you're treating me out of your hurt, because you're hurt from what something I did or said,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't tell me about it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. If you tell me and I dismiss it or invalidate it in any way, then yeah, that's a me problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's we need to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are holding that in, because something I said 5-10 years ago that hurt your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep going back to that thing,
So
I'm not in the car with you. I can't do anything about it.
Well, I have a question for you. So we can change, but it doesn't need the scars that we left.
Right.
So I feel like if a person comes to us and say that, they bring up something that we did, I feel like, we listen. And I feel like that sometimes I don't know. I feel like we have to pay sometimes, even though we've grown, that sometimes if a person brings up something that we did, that sometimes the scars that we left, even though we've changed, we still have to pay for it. I'm trying to think of a better word.
Well, there's an atonement that has to be paid. Like I get that. I'm not saying that there are no consequences to who I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that consequences, good, bad, or indifferent, are something that we almost face regardless of the choices that we make.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I could absolutely be a saint today and was horrible yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it. But my actions today do not make up for any hurt or pain or whatever I caused to a person before.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, if I don't know that I did that and they're just now bringing it up 8 years later, hey, you remember that time you said this? And I'd be like, word, what happened? Because I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I think it's more important for me, talking about my growth, it's more important for me to listen, to really understand. And at that point, most of the time, because I have these conversations, most of the time it's more so, well, what is it? Not in a negative way, but just like, what is it that you would like me to do? How can I make this up to you? Or what are some ways that that will help us move forward? Or what is it that you're looking for from me at this point?
And I would say that this is a prime example. You brought that up. I went back to my mother, some different things that we went through, and I didn't realize how it affected me. And so going through therapy, when things were brought up and I went to my mom about it, I just wanted her to hold herself accountable. I didn't want to hear, well, my mom didn't know, so I didn't know, or you think I had these things either? I didn't want to hear that you could relate to my story. I just want to hear, Lynette, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. What can I do now? Like you said, because I feel like I want to hear you hold yourself accountable. I don't want to hear you didn't have a good mother either. And yes, you might not have, but I don't want to hear that at this point, because I feel like if you didn't like how you were raised, or you don't like how your mother treated you, then I feel like you had opportunity to seek out the research to do it differently. Now, you might not have known, so I'm not going to hold you to that. So I'm not holding you to that standard. I feel like I'm holding myself to that standard when I have kids, that I'm going to do things differently, but I can't hold you to that same. But I do want to hear some accountability and say, I wasn't the best mother. I didn't make the best choice. I don't want to hear you didn't have that either. I don't want to hear you didn't get this either. I don't want to hear I had to do this too, because what does that do for me? That doesn't make me feel any better about it. Yes, that sucks. That's terrible that you also went through that. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear you hold yourself accountable for you not doing the things that I needed you to do.
So, and here's what my thing would be is, for me, I cannot tell you, like, I'm like, man, Lynette, like what you said yesterday, it really hurt. Right. And I don't think that it's fair of me to put you in a position to make you do what you don't know how to do. So if you've never apologized, if you've never been held accountable for something, if you've never had to adult in this space and reconcile with a person, then I can't tell you what to do. I cannot expect you to do, like, for me, in my background and my morals and my standards and my this, a person would do X. But we didn't grow up together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're both Black, we're both living in America, but we didn't grow up together. Mm-hmm. So you may have never had to say sorry. You may not know what it's like. You may still be struggling with pride. There may be a lot of shame that comes from saying you're sorry or whatever. Oh, I never apologize. You know, we just move on. You know, forget. It happened so long ago. So it's when people hold themselves accountable, great. If they have the capacity to do that, great. If they have practiced that, awesome. They can go ahead and work on holding themselves accountable. But for me, and I had to do this work in my life of what is it that I want from the situation that I could give to myself?
Yeah.
Because if I say, man, Lynette, like what I really want for this is from the situation is for you to say sorry. And you'd be like, okay, sorry. There was nothing behind it. It's not that I wanted you to say sorry. It was that I wanted you to understand how bad you made me feel. And I wanted you to understand that I don't want to feel like that when I'm with you, because if I feel bad like that, I don't want to spend time with you.
Yeah. And
I want us to spend time together. So that's what it is like. Okay, that's what I want you to know. And then my thing is, well, but I want to also understand is why you felt comfortable enough to do or say those things. Lynette never did anything to me, y'all. I'm just saying, it's just an example. She never did anything to me.
A week gets deep here,
but it's not a situation of what I want you to say to me to make me feel better, because even if you said those words, you could have had all the emotion behind it, right? You could have said, you know, man, I was wrong. It just because you say it doesn't mean that I'm going to feel better about it.
No, I can agree with that.
It's not gonna change anything in me, but it's like when I have these hard conversations or when I want to have some kind of reconciliation with someone, for me, it's not about what they can do, but what I can give to myself from this. For me, I can try to get some understanding about the situation. You know, where did I let my guard down to make them think that this was okay for them to do? You know, how come they think that it's cool to treat me in this way or talk to me in this way? One. Two, how can I establish proper boundaries to make sure that I'm not caught off guard or treated in this manner in the future?
Yeah.
And then three, express because the expression part is kind of a toss up because some people don't want to hear it. So I could want to express it and get it out, but to say it to them, sometimes it doesn't really work because not everybody's in the space to want to hear the woes and the stuff they did wrong and things like that. So I really try to internalize and then outwardly express what I would want to get out of the situation, because it really starts with, do I want a relationship with this person or not? And then I just go through the steps.
No, that's valid, and you're in my latest therapy session, because my therapist said I can reparent myself, and so she said reparenting yourself, and then she's like, those self-talks, like we learned that with the first graders, and I do so many self-talks. It's just I self-talk all day, and so you're in that because, like, for me, if I learned to accept, you know, my mother for who she is, and like what I was putting myself in a space is saying stuff to her, expecting a different response. Like, I want my mother to be this. And so like my therapist like realized that she may never be that. You could be that for yourself, or you can seek out those people to meet that need for you, because you're an adult now. So you can go out and be around those people. You can be that for yourself. First and foremost, you can be that you can parent your own self, because now you know what you wanted, what you didn't get. And now you can be that. And I'm like, man, that's so dope. Like, people don't know that you could be a parent for yourself. And like I told her that I parented myself. Like I told you, I felt like I grew up at 12. But when I was 12, I didn't know what parent I wanted to be. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what the things. So now
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So now that I'm a better parent for myself, and people don't know that. So you're speaking fast, because we can say things to people and we feel like we want them to validate our feelings. And they may not ever. They may make excuses. They may say, get over it. And I told you that's my worst. Like, don't say that to me. But they can say that to you. But it's like you have to get to a point where you know what you need and what you want. And that person may not ever say it, but you get to a place where you grow and you can, I don't want to say get over it. You get to a better place where you accept that person, because people are going to be who they are. You can't change anybody. But if you grow and you know that you can talk about this with this person can be this for you, but they can never be what you want them to be. Be it for yourself, or surround yourself around people that for you, because those people are out there. You just have to seek it out. You don't have to sit there and say like, and I was a woe is me, because I didn't know that, I didn't have what I wanted, but it's up to me and go find what I want. Right. To be that for myself. So that is so true, because we say things all the time, expecting somebody to say things or to comfort us or make us feel better. And they might never do that, but do that for yourself.
Yeah. And it's okay. So reparenting yourself or parenting yourself, because sometimes it's not a reprogramming. It's more of, like in my situation, it's more of my parents are not here they're not in the house. They're not like, I'm on my own. So, but I still want the comfort of my parents.
Yeah.
I still want the comfort of my family. So, and I just did this last week. I wrote down all the stuff that I would want if my parents were here, if my family was here. What are the things that I want from them? And it was stuff like quality time, surprise trips, all this kind of stuff, right? And then I wrote down how I can give those things to myself.
Yeah.
And that really changed how I viewed the relationship, because the relationship then wasn't stressed in, you're not talking to me as much as I want you to talk to me. How come you're not here? And I want to get this. And it wasn't like that back and forth of like, or not back and forth. It wasn't a conversation of contempt or undertone, because you're not the person I want you to be. So I'm mad at you because you're not giving me what I want. So I don't have to be mad at a person when I'm in conversation with them, because I feel like they should give me what I want from them. They could be exactly who they are, and regardless if they're here in my life or not, I'm still going to get what I want, what I need. So it helped a lot in taking the pressure off of, I really want you here. I really want, not saying that we shouldn't have expectations.
Yeah.
Absolutely have, especially in partnerships and siblings and all that. It's good to have like regular conversations to talk about expectations, of how often do y'all plan to talk during the week, because sometimes we can't talk all day every day. So getting like doing touch base, once or twice a week, or, every month. I don't know how often your family talks, but as for me in my house, but I think that it's really good to have those expectations, but also, if that person isn't there, your world is not falling apart.
Exactly.
It's the same idea of having multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Because the idea of multiple streams of income is that if you lose your job, you have 4 other income streams that you can get money from. So you're not going to be without a check.
Yeah.
So if you have, and not saying that you're using people, but if you have people around you that you're serving, they're serving you. If one person leaves, then you're not left wanting or feeling empty or feeling like there's a void now, that now you have to leech on to someone else, because what'll happen is, out of desperation, you'll clamp on in sometimes unhealthy ways. A lot of times, because when it's desperate, it's typically unhealthy.
Yeah.
You'll clamp on to something that you don't need in a very unhealthy way, and then and then rationalize that you have to be in this situation because you deserve it. There's nobody else. You have an obligation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to try to explain it away. And that can prove to be even more detrimental than doing the work of healing, working on yourself, giving yourself the things that you want. Because I think a lot of times we're told that other people have to do those things for us. But if we learn to do those things for ourselves, then we don't have to worry about, well, what if this person doesn't come through? Well, what if they're not here? What if they die tomorrow? Like, what are you going to do? Is your life going to be over? No, you have to pick up the pieces and make it work.
No, I definitely agree. And listening to you talk, it makes me think of putting unrealistic expectations on people. And sometimes we put expectations on people that we haven't even voiced. And so you're expecting someone to do something and you never said it to them. And they're like, you expected me to do this? And we've never had this conversation. So sometimes we do that. And just we end up being disappointed. And the person looking like, so we get an attitude. We start speaking to people and we've never voiced these expectations. And the person looking like, well, where did she go? She fell off. I don't hear her. My phone is dry. She doesn't call anymore. But we're angry about something that we've never voiced.
Right. That whole, like, my mom said it a few episodes ago. Or actually, yeah, we were recording and she said it one time. I don't know if I aired this part, but she said, I said, well, what happens when elders, like, what is a good way what is a good way to talk to elders about crossing a line? And her question was, when was that line ever communicated?
Facts.
And I mean, we go from, and she literally said, she's just like, we go from taking care of you as babies, wiping you, feeding you, everything as babies, to now you're adults. And when did you tell us that there was a line? When did you establish that there was a boundary?
Facts.
And it's the same way with expectations. Some of the biggest disappointments come from unspoken expectations.
Yes.
If you have an expectation of your significant other, bringing you flowers every week, and you get mad because Sarah in accounting is getting flowers and she's posting them to the gram, and you want flowers, or you want your relationship, like, I have seen people break up with people because their relationship didn't look like YouTubers' relationships.
Yeah.
Or it didn't look like somebody else on social media. And they're having a good time. They're dancing all the time. But first of all, that is a 30-second video.
Yes.
How long did it take for them to get that down?
Yes. I totally agree. Totally agree. No, you're in this book that I read, and I encourage everyone to read it. It's called Childhood Neglect. And it's about the things that you didn't get, that you did. So no, it's not. It's about the things that, so we fuss about, or we complain about, like, trauma, like things that happened to us that we didn't like, but we don't talk about the things that, not the good things that you didn't get. We're focused so much on the bad things, but you don't say, did you get hugs? Did you get to be told I love you? What about the good things that you didn't receive? So when you were talking, that makes me think about a passive aggressive relationship, like a man and a woman, whatever, partners. And we're talking and you're mad that he didn't take the trash out on Tuesday, but it's Thursday. And you're slamming around because the trash is piling up. You're slamming dishes and stuff like that. He has no clue why you're angry. And this is like, it talks about childhood emotional neglect because you never were really in touch. Like we weren't used to voicing what happened. So we're just going to be angry and expect the person to know why we're angry. And it's like, if you would voice, it's like a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships are ruined and ended because people won't communicate. People will walk around with attitudes, and you're angry about something that happened a month ago, 2 weeks ago, and you never voiced that to a person. So that book is Childhood Emotional Neglect, is where it talks about the things that you didn't get, like the loving, the I love you, the hugs, the seeing mommy and daddy angry and sad. Like sometimes parents try to keep you from when they're angry and when they're sad. They don't let you see them cry. They don't let you see with all these different emotions. And like when you become an adult, you haven't seen these things, so you don't know what to do with them. And so that's a dope book. That book changed my life because, like I said, we always think about the negative things, like maybe you hit me. So you think that you weren't abused or you had everything you need because nobody hit you. No one didn't withhold food from you. No one didn't give you clothes. But did they tell you they love you? Did they hug you? Did they talk to you? Did they just whoop you? Or did they have a conversation with you about did they show you these different emotions? And so that's a dope book. I encourage everyone to read that because it shows up in your relationships where we think that like with men, they don't cry in front of their sons and you don't show kids these different emotions because they need to see these different emotions so they know what to do with them. And I know I went on a tangent, but I just felt like from something you said just made me feel like I needed to bring that book
What's
up.
the name of the book?
It's called Childhood Emotional Neglect, and it's by Jonice, Jonice Webb, Webb.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like here my only thing is I feel like especially now we focus a lot on trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about healing and we talk about trauma and we talk about trauma and we talk about trauma and we talk about the effects and then we talk about trauma. Then we talk about healing and then we talk about the effects and then we explain it away. Because of my childhood trauma, I don't be trusting nobody. And it's like, okay, what are you doing for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, like your mom, they may not know that resources are available. They may not know how to attain those resources. They may not know that you can be better. Like before a few weeks ago, we talked about the difference between like, is your comfort zone just you being lazy?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people get those things confused where they get into a groove and then they get into a rut because that groove was so good they never did anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're in a rut and they're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, now what do I do? But I would encourage people to just be mindful. And I think that's something that a lot of the circles that I'm in on social media, they're really pushing is just mindfulness, is understanding why you do what you do and how what you think,
Mm-hmm.
what you say, how you act, the way you treat people, how those things are essentially affecting your entire environment.
Yes. Yes.
Because we can say, oh, I've grown. I'm different now. I'm this. But does it show up in the way you treat people, in the way you talk, in the way you act,
the way you treat yourself?
Yeah, like because a lot of times it's like our self-talk is very reflective of us putting on for show this persona of, yeah, I'm grown, I'm different, but I still treat myself as if I'm incapable.
Mm-hmm.
I still treat myself as if I don't know how to handle myself. I don't know how I made it this far. So definitely by dumb luck. It can be a very harsh thing. And so I think that true growth is learning how to treat the people we treat the worst, which is ourselves typically, with kindness.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that because me just graduating, I would downplay it. In my late 30s, graduating with my bachelor's, and people would tell me, like, they keep telling me, like, you've done some amazing things. You've overcame a lot because people have listened to my testimony, my different podcasts, and they're like, how are you the person that you are if you went through all these things? And I'll be looking, I was just talking about this with Janie yesterday, and I said, when people say I've overcame a lot, that was my normal life. So I don't know what you mean when you say overcame it. I'm like, what? I just did some stuff and I'm here. And so, and Jenny was like,
that's gonna be your book. I just did some stuff and I'm here.
No, I'm
just saying. By Lynette Farmer. That's her biography. I just did some stuff and I'm here, y'all.
No, that's what I feel like. But people be like, no, celebrate. Because my therapist tell me, no, Lynette, I want you to just keep celebrating your graduation. She said, you could be celebrating your graduation for a year now. Like, you did something awesome. You are thriving now. Don't gloss over it. Celebrate it. Because for me, like the Yesterme is like, I wasn't used to the light being on me. So when people shine a light on me, that makes me uncomfortable. And so that's why, like on my podcast, you hear me repetitively say, I'm graduating this day. I'm graduating this way. Because I'm training myself to celebrate myself. And so it's crazy. That's why Alicia Keys, I bring up so much in her book. And so she wasn't used to the light being on her. And like I learned from her is that when a person or people that are around you are angry or upset about the light being shone on you, it's an issue with them. It's an issue with them, because I feel like for me, Lynette, when the light is shone on Leah or shine on anyone, I celebrate. I don't get upset. So why do I have to feel some type of way when people shine a light on me if I'm able to do the same for them? So yeah, I'm just celebrating. I'm just gonna just keep, even though I'm not having an actual in-person graduation, it's just I'm celebrating, and just not me graduating, me just the things that I had to deal with, the things that I've overcome in life, just to celebrate that. And like I said, I'm a self-talk. Self-talk is like my middle name right now. I self-talk so much. It's so many things that I have to talk myself through because my way of thinking has changed. And so I have to tell myself, to train myself and say, Lynette, you're not that person anymore. Your brain has been rewired. You don't think like that anymore. So I talk so much to myself that it's crazy. And I help myself through. And so I am parenting myself. I am being what I feel like I didn't get, the advice that I didn't get. I'm doing it for myself. I have so many conversations with myself. That's why sometimes I go in and out of listening to people, because I'm like analyzing what's going on in the situation. Be present. I'm trying to be present, but I'm analyzing that, like, what am I get self-reflective? Like, what's going on here? What did I learn? What do I need? Like, what do I need from this conversation? What do I want? And then being able to voice, it's just crazy. It's like I said, I just feel like I've been rewired. I've had brain surgery, and I like the person that I am today.
That's beautiful. That is wonderful. Liking yourself is a whole new level of love. And not narcissistically, but actually truly caring for and cherishing the person that you are, and being careful to, not being careful, but being mindful and feeding yourself the right stuff that's going to make you, just like you want your kid to grow up and be strong and be all this. Taking care of yourself is that kind of love that everybody can't give to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just can't. They literally just can't. But I thank you for having this conversation. We have such great conversations.
I know.
Oh man. Once Kayla gets out here, we'll be able to have great conversations with her as well.
Yes, she told me.
But thank you so much for being on the show today. Let people know where to find you.
So it's the nice to meet you. You see that on the nice to meet you, with the 2, the number 2, and then you, the letter U, not YOU. But I'm found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, wherever you listen to your podcast, Podbean, all of them. And then you have a YouTube channel. I have not switched that over. I'm hopefully next season. I wanted to do it the 3rd season, but I got too busy with school. So it's the Lynette's Sowing Seeds of Love. You can. So I record the podcast. So some people like the audio. Sometimes I get more listeners on the audio. Sometimes I get more listeners on the video. I know that my people that are probably in their 30s and up sometimes like the YouTube video more. So either or. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on the major podcast platforms. It's podcast all about inspiring one another to become the best version of ourselves. So I have guests on sometimes, and sometimes I just like to just talk. So sometimes it's just me having a conversation with the microphone, just telling you my journey and just things I've learned. So it's just basically me sharing how I became aware, more self-reflective, and what I am doing is sharing the secrets and the things that I've learned, so you don't have to go through the same pains or the hurts that I've been through. So basically, I'm helping myself and trying to help you.
That's wonderful. And y'all, do yourself a favor and watch the YouTube videos. I don't know what it is. Like, I just like seeing the video. I have a hard time just like, let me just listen to the audio if I'm not doing anything. So I like watching videos because I need to be visually stimulated. So when I'm watching something, I retain it more.
I understand.
But thank you so much, Lynette, for being on. Make sure that you go follow her. I have been your host, Leah. Please follow us at Take a Space Pod. That's Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure that you join us on Thursday for the live at 8 p.m. Central Time on Facebook and YouTube. And hopefully we'll have Lynette back when this airs. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you.